And there we go. All right, we are live. Happy Friday, Karen.
Woo! Happy Friday. Some weeks hit harder than others. This was one of those weeks where I'm like, it feels never ending. So I'm actually relieved that it's a Friday, just because nothing, shattering. Just I'm glad it's Friday.
There was a lot going on this week, and yeah, I agree. Like work stuff, and maybe it's because it's come back after the 4th, all that. Maybe it's a piece of it, but also it just seemed like, boy, the pace of news and not just little news, but like, holy crap, whoa,
Well,
paradigm shifting.
I also think you and I and Nakash, and we have July. Our fiscal year starts July 1, and July always starts these big conversations. It like kicks off a year of strategic thinking and all of this planning and everything that we need to do. And so I think there's also just this high level thinking that's happening when we get into this phase. This happens all the time. Lukash takes vacation time and he comes back kind of ready to think big picture, and we're all thinking a little more higher level. So I think has a lot to do with it, is our brains are wrangling, we step out of the minutia into high level.
Maybe that's a good segue, right?
Yes.
We promised last week that we would kind of continue this conversation about this agentic transformation, and because that's been a very high level topic that we've been thinking about. I mean, everybody, publishers, and it's that, there's so much disruption you have to think about from that.
Yeah.
But it took a whole new angle that, and so here's when we kick it off.
Let's start. Yeah. So the what we said we'd start off talking about is not just this higher level stuff, but this last week we kind of hinted to the change in browsers, right? So this shift in how people are accessing information online. Remember when Googling was a thing and we all Googled things, that verb, right? Googling is changing, because when we go to ChatGPT, it's not Googling. We're not Googling, right? We're using LLMs as browsers. So that's what we're going to start off talking about, right, Lenny? This whole idea that like platforms, LLMs and generative AI platforms are entering the search game, and users are using it accordingly to start. That's one of the topics.
One of the things, right? So that's that part of that transformation, for sure, is from search to LLMs, and we've all experienced it, I'm sure. When it's consolidated information, answering a question, that's different than going through a series of links, and that has implications. And there's one interesting one actually that the industry should know about in terms of content. We'll get to that kind of at the end, I think. But now it's shifting from LLMs being the new search engines to LLMs being the new browsers. And what that means effectively is LLMs being the new operating systems for how people are interacting, not just with information, but with activities and with tools. And so, Carly, I'm just going to rattle these off. There's 3 different proof points, and we'll just kind of synthesize this. The great article on the browser wars heat up as rivals target Google search, from TechBuzz. Perplexity launched their Comet browser. Today, OpenAI launched their ChatGPT agent, which is not quite their browser. They have announced that there is a browser coming, but it is the operational components that changes this, the functionality, and that's really, let's zero in on that, because that's what I think is. So I had some conversations that occurred this week that put this really in perspective for me, and I have to not break any confidentiality here, but was talking to a very senior technology professional in our space for one of the largest companies in our space, and we were talking about this shift, and they launched a holy crap moment for me when they shared that recently a very large percentage of the RFIs they're receiving from brands are requesting this agentic integration. Now, here's what that means, right? So let's go for what's public. P&G, Coke, all these companies, we covered it when they said we're spending $1 bajillion. Actually, I think both of them was $1 billion on building out an AI operating system within their business. Now it's coming to focus. What that really means is that's a process component. It's not just an informational component. They are building so let's say, I'm just using this as an example. I do not know if this is specifically true, but I always pick on P&G, so we'll use P&G as an example. So in this model that is now confirmed to be in play, right, that this transformation is starting now. Brands are asking for this. Is you are a researcher at P&G, rather than going through the traditional process that you would use of what supplier do I want to use? I'm going to send them an RFP and I need to get a bid back and blah, blah, blah. No, they are going within their browser, right, that they've developed. In that case, it would be Azure. There is an agent, a very specific tailored prompt, basically. Here is my research objective. Here is all the information necessary to that. Click the button. Behind the scenes, this agent is then going through and determining which is the best supplier. It is creating the RFI. It is sending the RFI to another agent, right? Within that, their supplier ecosystem, they're negotiating on the price. The agent is saying yes, and it is executing the research without a human being involved.
So just pause for a minute, because when I put my, researcher hat back on, and I recall, 10 years ago, sitting for meetings with procurement officers and making sure that my small business has a rate card or is an approved vendor, and we're in the portal, not even 10 years ago. I mean, the most recently I think I did this was just 5 years ago, with very large consumer forward companies, and I am working with procurement to get everything up to speed, and that was a big headache. Now imagine, for those of you who are on the supplier side and have done that,
sorry,
I cannot talk to you right now. If you haven't done those things, you don't stand much of a chance, because those procurement documents are informing these agents. And it's now, to me, it's like, you've got to get in with procurement, and the procurement documents are going to be informing these agents who are going to do that work without the procurement officials,
or you're integrated into a marketplace. So this hypothetical, guys, the point here is that there is a change. We are now at the point where we've been kind of focused on changes to methodology and augmentation and those type of things, right? From an AI perspective. Now it is happening now that it is fundamentally changing routine processes, and that are absolutely important to your point, right? So in this case, my guess is that we are going to see a scenario where effectively, as a supplier, you have built an inbound agent, right? An executional agent that is integrated with either a marketplace of suppliers, or at least functionally that's what it is. If you're within, let's say, P&G procurement, there's this list of suppliers, and those suppliers have an agent, and they're, we recognize I'm going to use this one because they do online qual, or this one for quant, or whatever, right? Okay, there's a specialization, but those agents are doing all of the early stage process, and they are squeezing that down. So one thing this individual had told me is that they were, with part of this process, the clients were expecting a reduction of turnaround time from 2 weeks to 48 hours. Soup to nuts. on a project, because all of that, really think about it, there's not value add in that process of negotiation and evaluation, all that good stuff. It's valuable from the standpoint as it's necessary today to how to get to an outcome. But if you are a buyer, the hours spent in doing those things from a time standpoint don't deliver value. The value is in executing, administering the project, and delivering the results back.
Yeah.
So
And what's happened is, in today's reality, that push, which a research, an internal research professional or corporate researcher might have been able to push back on and say, yes, but we need, we can't execute it that quickly. Now they have options. Now they are like, actually, I can if I change my approaches.
yes.
So now I can meet that demand in a way I've not really been able to confidently meet before. Now I need to step out of my comfort zone to meet the demand because it's possible.
Yes.
And I think that change in kind of thinking on the corporate level is going to change the playing field yet again.
Absolutely.
The other thing go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, the reason why it feels particularly poignant that you and I keep talking about these things, and I hope that we are connecting dots for people week after week, but something just came up today that I'll share internally. Greenbook, operationally at Greenbook, for something that has to do with our contributor database. We've been working on making it more efficient. How do we keep track of all of our speakers and our authors and our podcast guests and all that? And we've been working on a database, blah, 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 so that I can easily extract, I need a speaker for this event. And I can pull things up and find, so-and-so has spoken at all these events and who, all this stuff. So it's a workable database for content purposes. And as we're doing all this, then our our product manager sends me a link, and sends me, hey, can we just hop on a call? Because of course, Gemini, as long as everything's in Google Drive, like Gemini is actually doing a lot of that for us now. We have been spending like the better part of a year with one of our tasks being database management. And now Gemini is saying, you don't need no stinking database. I got you. And it's like an operational shift. I use it just as an example of, if you're trying to update your processes and streamline for efficiencies, and you haven't considered the tools that just showed up in your workplace, without you having to do that work, you are missing opportunities, and you have to pivot and be agile with your operations, because yes.
and that's what's happening now. So if we follow the money and the progression, right? Yeah. So I need to own something. We spent a lot of time talking about these type of shifts, what they meant to consumers.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about what it meant to the research process.
Yeah.
I was not thinking about this aspect of things, right? And it's only in the last 2 weeks that's kind of like, holy crap, whoa, wait a minute. There's so many implications here to your point on not just internal efficiencies. I mean, that's what guides it, but what that means for both for buyers and suppliers of any kind, right? Again, I'll use P&G as an example. So that agentic model is going to apply as much to retailers, ordering from them, as it does to their suppliers, ordering materials, and then internally facilitating across all of their manufacturing facilities, et cetera, all their as much as research. I mean, it's just that
chain management is changing. I cannot even imagine how the master's programs, Michigan comes to mind, in supply chain management, for example, how they are having to pivot right now, because AI will do a better job managing supply and demand at a manufacturing level than 100%. Any human being looking at the data. I'm sorry.
100%. So we become administrators. Now, there's a couple of nuances here that were probably important to point out. Obviously, let's just call it as it is. If you're already a technology company, you're probably in a pretty good position already, but you better make that, you better have an outbound agent or an inbound. I'm not sure how you even configure how to talk about it, right? But a functionality that allows literally for an AI system to access your platform. So if you're in tech, you got to do that now. If you're more on the service side, this doesn't mean service goes away. But how services are contracted will change. What does this mean for sales?
How visible services are. So
absolutely,
this is where we're going to get to a shameless plug, folks.
We are, yes, absolutely, because here's the thing. Let's just do it now, right? Let's talk about
discoverability. If you are a service provider and you want to make sure these LLMs that you are discoverable, that they know about you. You can't count on, sorry to tell you, you can't count on your own kind of limited audience.
Nope.
Because it's not enough. What we are seeing is that partners that are in our ecosystem, Green Book is discoverable because we've built kind of this, this
authority. It's massive information and authority. Yes.
Yeah. And so we are discoverable. So if you are in our directory, if you are an author in our network, if you I think those are probably the two biggest, if you do webinars with us, and this is again shameless plugging, you are discoverable within us with authority. How else would you build on that? You've had other conversations around this as well,
right? Absolutely. And it goes to the essence of this. So effectively we are seeing the development of ecosystems or marketplaces. To your point now, we're seeing this as content ecosystems. Green Book is a content ecosystem, and so is every other publisher in the world is trying to get to the same place. So let's be
and the big guys are in it, right? The big guys are discoverable. Right. Kantar,
right? Because they have the authority, they have the mass. Yes. But if you don't believe us, guys, if you own a business, go do a search on a topic. Right? You go to Google. Go to Perplexity, go to whatever, right? In market research, we will come up, if not first, we will come up second or third, at least before you, unless you have a massive content engine. That sounds kind of crappy. You're probably thinking, but wait, and I don't mean it that way. It's just the way these systems work. So now what's the next step of that? That discoverability is how are you discoverable within a client ecosystem when their systems are designed to go to authority. So I don't know what all this means for Green Book per se, long-term. For the moment, it means you need to be in our ecosystem so you can be discoverable. We'll see what else that means in the future. But for everybody, the way that you sell, and we've talked about this for the consumer stuff, right? It's agents selling to agents. It's agents marketing to agents, right? That human component, unless you're doing like heavy duty consulting, personalized consulting, it just changes the game.
Well, and let's jump down 2 bullets. We'll come back to Murati and what she's up to. But let's talk about OpenAI's
their checkout system. There you go.
So basically they're testing a payment system within ChatGPT that would let users buy products directly. So, I think probably people, if you've done a Google search and it shows up products and then you click on, you can click on, oh, look, they sell this at Amazon, or, oh, look, they sell this at Walmart or whatever retailer. So they're streamlining that a little bit, but OpenAI is like, well, look, I might show you a product and let you buy it right from our platform.
Right. So which is their platform integrating with the retailer, taking all of your information and doing all that. So you don't have to do anything.
You just have to say, I'm in the market for what's one of the most recently I bought, we were headed to the beach. I wanted to get a different kind of a sunshade over an umbrella because we were bringing, my grandchild, and I needed to make sure sun coverage. So, I went into Google, and I didn't even think to go to, ChatGPT for this because I knew my end result was I am buying something. But now I'm like, So imagine if it brought me, if I check in ChatGPT, I need the best quality sunshade out there to protect my grandson, first time I bring him to the beach. and it then says you could buy this one, this one, this one. Here are the reviews. Cool.
Right.
I would say, I actually wouldn't even say here are the reviews. I'd say which one is the most highly rated.
Right.
I'd ask that. That feels natural. And then it would tell me what the ratings are, and then it'd say, would you like to buy it? And I'll say yes. Like
Right.
it would,
Or book the reservation. Right. You did the same thing. It was the, this hotel, or, or service, gutter cleaning. I need to clean my gutters, all this, and now take that to the enterprise level.
Would you like me to schedule that for you? Yeah.
Right. Because as efficient as that is for consumer, the adoption will lag on that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But from an enterprise standpoint, it is not.
Yeah.
It isn't. There is, and that is maybe the difference I just had this blind spot of not thinking about that application with the enterprise procurement and buying process until recently. And then knowing what that conversation I had, what that told me was that it's already happening.
Yeah. Imagine something as simple as, say I'm a startup and I am building my website for the first time and I want to do some quick A/B testing. Because I know I should test which of these two. I should test this logo I'm developing. Really quick, easy, typically maybe some, there's some great platforms for quick A/B testing, user testing, that sort of thing. But imagine if you turn to an LLM and say, I need to do some user testing on my, my logo as I develop this company. And it will say, well, here are 3 providers. I'm going to get you a bid. Like it's like, okay, thanks,
Right.
demo. Like it will do that thinking for you for a lot of people. So
right. The way I keep thinking about it, I don't know if it's exactly the right, I don't know if the end state will look like this from a user experience standpoint, but effectively everything becomes an app in the app store, right? I mean, I think whether you're a business or consumer, the agent will identify the right app, right? The right solution based upon your specifications, which is just basically a chat. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's what I need. Here's the criteria that I require. It will go and pull that together. We'll go into that app store that is in its agentic ecosystem to identify, right? It must be able to identify it, and then it will execute.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's also talk about this again. I told you, I was like, we want to talk about Mira Murati because this is not the first time we're mentioning thinking machines. So I think it was June. We talked about kind of the first 10 billion valuation, and now they've raised 2 billion more.
And
so
12 billion valuation.
12 billion valuation now. So she's ex OpenAI chief technology officer. I follow her after I saw her at Qualtrics. I think that was like 3 years ago now. Anyway, she's incredibly bright in this space. Really was instrumental in launching that particular platform. And now she's secured this additional seed funding. She still has no product.
Yep.
But it's called Thinking Machines. She has no product yet, but it's called Thinking Machines. Now, we know where we're at. Her team is sure as hell further along in their thinking than anything that's out there right now, because she's visionary thinker, right? And launched, ChatGPT early on. So what is she doing? This is one, if you don't have like a Google alert for what she's up to, set it now, because
right. Well, and there's another thing.
I can't wait till it comes out.
It'll be interesting. There's I was had another conversation this week with a client who is in the AI space, and they pointed out to me 2 things. We don't have the links here from a news standpoint. That's fine. It's not important, but you may have seen in the news that Google acquiring Windsurf. They didn't acquire Windsurf. It was an acqui-hire. It was a $4 billion acqui-hire. They just wanted the talent. They didn't give a shit about the product. They wanted the talent. And that goes to then we do have an article on this on Meta Superintelligence Lab, that deal with Scale. That was a multi-billion-dollar acqui-hire.
Yeah.
And we've all heard that how they're going out and poaching talent, $100 million, packages for developers. Yeah. And here's an example of that. I mean, so you follow that money, goes back to follow the money, right? We could say, oh, that's stupid money. It doesn't matter. with that much money flowing into these priorities, they are looking for the monetization, and the monetization is to turn that into a licensable product that disrupts and takes away other business needs, and it pays for itself, because suddenly, instead of carrying this huge payroll of 100 people to do a task, I'm only paying some licensing fee, and that could be millions of dollars a year, but it's still cheaper than the payroll, right, to perform these functions.
Yeah. And the scramble to get top talent,
yes,
is something. It's that, yeah. And I can't even really speak to that because it's enormous. And we'll circle back to some of the stuff for future reading that has a lot to do with talent. So
it does.
Let's take off a few. We're down, we've already been talking 25 minutes and we haven't even gotten to some industries.
I know. Well, I think that this general topic, we're going to continue as a trend for the next couple of weeks, because it's an important one. This is the next phase. The next guys.
Seismic shift, right? So
yep. Our friends at NIQ going public again. So their IPO, 1.1 billion IPO is the target. So
I think we talked last week about them going public, but now we have the money.
Yes.
Or going public again.
Yeah.
So but now we have the dollar figure.
Yeah, I don't know what the date is, but that is happening. They're targeting 1.1 billion IPO. You found this Murati.
It's 12 million Series A. It's market intelligence. Now, look, there are companies that do this sort of thing, right? That have market intelligence tools, the big ones, right? So they are kind of going up against Ipsos, GfK, some of these other large things with that type of with large companies. But the funding is behind them because it's quoting from my notes here, they are not relying on modeled or inferred data. They are building their own infrastructure for data that is protected and safe, right? So, and fit for use. Anyway, so different than its competitors, also in different markets than a lot of these, which are forward in kind of North America first, or this is some South America and overseas countries, which are a part of people's global growth strategy. So super interesting. Bonfire Ventures, I don't know them, but that's who led this funding. So
yeah, interesting. The follow the money, guys. Keep following the money.
Money. Intelligence, didn't we talk about that last week? Intelligence.
Yes. So new products that just continue on. Our friends at Pure Profile, man, I gotta say again, I have a relationship with them. So full disclosure, but for whether I did or did not, man, they are really people pay attention. In tech, they call this shipping, right? I mean, they have been shipping products relentlessly, and I think that's a skill set that we all have to think about and develop. Is just getting it out there. So they launched a new AI chatbot for survey engagement. Just a lot of respect for any company that is just, okay, we got to figure this out. And they're a public company, so they have a lot of incentive to do that. So cool for them. The Nuance, which I believe is owned by Decision Analyst, I believe, if I recall that correctly. Jerry.
They debuted something called Colibri, a verbatim coding tool. But in the press release, if you look it up, this is why I'm shouting this out specifically. It's the Latin American word for hummingbird, which I'm like, all right, I like that. So cool. I feel like I needed to shout out that not only do I like the name of that product, but I understand it, right? We're talking about speed and precision, and Anyway, so speed and precision in that open-ended, verbatim coding. So okay, I'd like to see that happen faster. I'm good.
Yeah. Our friends at Protobrand. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, you're good. You're fine.
A new nimble product, Nimble Explorations, fast turnaround tools. Protobrand, they've always done really amazing work with metaphor elicitation, kind of the primary component of in that merging of of software and service, and so get into that nimble, fast turnaround. You see the trend, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
where they're going.
Right.
The Vibe
So,
Insights. Let's talk further reading real quick, because that Vibe Insights was cool. You should mention.
Yeah. So I think, before we wrap, that's it for the industry updates. But now we want you to just, we're giving you homework to use your brains. This Vibe Insights concept was very cool. So Lenny grabbed this article from Gray Matter Unloaded, and I spent some time with it this morning in particular, talking about Vibe Insights as the future of market research. So what are Vibe Insights? Because you have to read it. And I remember thinking, because in the piece, they've capitalized Vibe Insights. What is this? Is this a company? Is it a new product? I don't really know what Vibe Insights is, but it's the idea is this is kind of a new way to think about research in a world of AI. And it's the idea that, like, what's the vibe? What's the vibe that we get when we test this product? Like, just doing this kind of vibe checking with synthetic respondents. So I'm like, okay. And what's cool about this is how might let's, this vibe check, how might we get Vibe Insights rolled into a process when we use synthetic data instead of waiting for traditional surveys, when we're really just trying to do this other type of research. And one of the things they say in here is, I'm going to read this: when researchers dismiss synthetic respondents or find flaws in synthetic data, they're likely not wrong today. Goes on to say, but they're stuck, not imagining how quickly AI will solve those issues. So for everybody who is currently cynical about synthetic data or questioning the quality that synthetic respondents can provide, this one challenges you to consider use cases, but also your own thinking and confidence that these synthetic data sets will get better and stronger. And this won't be an issue down the road because, and I quote, disruption will find a way. My favorite quote from the entire piece is, disruption will find a way. And certainly synthetic data and synthetic respondents are a disruption that nobody in the industry likes. But guess what? And I shouldn't say nobody. Brand side professionals are liking it if it can get them to be able to meet the demands that's placed upon them. So full circle back to that.
Well, and that's Mark Ryan. So Mark Cantar, former chief product officer, YouGov. I mean, Mark is a researcher, right? He is a data guy, particularly a sample guy. I mean, that has been his claim to fame. Besides, and obviously also brilliant. So for someone like that, I will tell you something else I heard this week from a very large research company, experimenting with synthetic sample off of their own proprietary panel, in collaboration with a leading university. They are now at 90% accuracy, meaning that from their existing data set of real human data, that's high quality, running a study side by side. And I'm not sure what the details were, but just using AI to duplicate it on the synthetic sample is 90% there, as you would get from a live survey. So here, to your point, and Mark's point, it's just going to get better and better. Let's end on a good note.
Well,
this OpenAI thing was interesting. So
there's really these two things kind of come together, and I don't know if this is a good thing, but we're ending on it anyway because these are our last two pieces.
That's true.
So let's figure out how to spin it. But so one of them we have is Julian Daly's LinkedIn post talking about OpenAI job listings, and that's sort of hinting at the continued need for traditional market research skills even at OpenAI, right? So traditional skills in methods and traditional experience in research is still appealing even at that level, right? So some of the companies that we've talked about need researchers. I have gone on and frequently look as I'm doing some, speaker curation and outreach, and a lot of it is like, they have insights functions, and they have research functions. So even they are not finding the field obsolete.
Absolutely.
So appreciate Julian putting that out there, but also I kind of want to pair it with this last article, because I think this is the bigger piece of the puzzle when it comes to the workforce. Gen Z being a little wary of AI right now from
not a little, they were very wary looking at that data.
83.3% of respondents in kind of Gen Z respondents cite job loss as their biggest fear right now because of AI. And it makes sense that many of them will come out of school and are seeking, entry-level jobs, and they're starting their careers, and they are seeing sort of, traditionally what might have been their roles being outsourced to AI. I feel like it was a few weeks ago that you and I were talking about, like, these, educational institutions really need to be upskilling students to get them to get their skill level to a point where that isn't a hurdle that they feel, get their confidence up that they can join that AI world. My son and I, he's 23, so he has many friends who are 2 years out, and his friends that are engineers. There's one that's doing reverse software engineering. He's thriving, making more money at 23 than any 23-year-old young man should be making, in my opinion. And other engineers and computer science majors, like, they're all doing okay, right? They are very highly employable, but
so are trades. So let's keep that in mind too.
Correct.
So are trades.
So are trades. I thought you said because those are trades, but no, trades are doing. And there
making stuff, fixing stuff, doing stuff, right?
Yeah. But in the business programming, in the MBA programming, in marketing programming, which is what I came out of, like, all of that, that curriculum has to make sure that the folks that typically have gone, like, from those programs into research, digital advertising. One of my sons, he's 25, and he's in, kind of digital advertising and e-commerce marketing. He is on a steep learning curve right now, and he is seeing a very different reality at his age, because he doesn't have 20 years of experience to be able to get on board here, right? He learned lots about Google Analytics, and guess what? That was, he's in a sweet spot of stress, I think, with a lot of these other, kind of. Anyway, so they've grown up tech savvy, these kids, right? And yet not AI savvy. Whereas, Gen Alpha will probably be like, yeah, I got this. But Gen Z might need a little bit more help from employers that are snagging up, early entrance into the workforce. You've got a lot of work to do to make sure that their confidence is up and that they can, approach, because they're our future, right?
Yeah. Well, and they can think.
Yeah.
Think critically, be creative, all of those skills. But that's a whole other conversation.
I was going to say,
yeah. Now you're going to be gone the next 2 weeks. So
oh my gosh, I'm gone for 2 weeks, friends. I mean, I'm not leaving, today, but yes, I take off for a much needed family vacation next Wednesday night. So not quite the whole family, but me and all of my children are going on an adventure. So my children and my grandchild is we're all headed to Brazil. So it'll be my first time going to see where my daughter-in-law is from, and then we're going to take some time to go to the coast, because I don't go anywhere without a beach.
But we will still have a Lynch. So Tim Lynch is going to step in.
Tim raised his hand. Well, and one of the reasons why Lenny and I said, it'd be a good time to bring Tim back in, and we literally, we're just discussing it, but, Tim is a change management consultant helping people at the enterprise level navigate changes predominantly right now. They're all dealing with AI. So at the enterprise level. So I think it'll be an interesting perspective for you guys to pick up the conversation around that.
Yes, absolutely. And then the following week, it looks like Susan Griffin, who is obviously a legend and we love Susan, is going to be on, and then we'll talk about kind of the marketing implications for all of this as well. So yeah, we'll have some good substitutes. They won't completely fill your shoes, but
Oh, well, thank you. No, it'll be great. I wish I could tell you that I will be listening in, but I won't be.
I hope not. So,
This is I feel like it was this time last year where I was going to, I was also taking, taking a trip to a beach with my girlfriend, Tanya. Anyway, so I feel like this is the time of year. This is the vacation where Karen checks out. So,
cool.
But I will catch up in August, and I will be back the first week of August. And
Good. I'll give one shout out to Anish, who commented about creating their AI-based e-commerce analytics tool. Very cool, Anish. Thank you for sharing that. Keep us in the loop on how that goes. We'll have the Insight Innovation competition coming back around here sooner than we think. Really,
I can't even believe it's already. Yeah, it's already.
So keep it up. That's cool too. That's last thing. All this is like, whoa, but think of the opportunities for innovation, right? I mean, there's so many cool things are going to come out of this in ways that we hadn't thought about before. And Anish, obviously, is an example that you shared. So, yeah, it's we're on the roller coaster. There's no getting off. So we better just find a way to enjoy it and make the most out of it.
Anyway. All right, friends, have a great weekend, and I'll see you in a couple weeks, and Lenny will see you next week. And yeah, that's all we got.
That's it. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.